Hi, I'm Pav, and today I'm going to be talking about how your mentality affects your cycling performance. Now, if you've read my book, The Guide to Truly Effective Cycling, which is available on your local Amazon store, you'll know just how much of an emphasis I place, my methodology of coaching, how I work with my clients on mentality. I firmly believe that 50% of all the gains you're ever going to make in cycling are going to come from how you think, basically. 35% being nutrition and just 15% your training. You'll have to check out the book for more information on that, though. The big thing for me is exactly how you look at yourself as a complete cyclist. When I pick up, when I work with new clients and I discuss this with everybody that's coming in, I always talk about this complete cyclist, persona. And that's just because it's so important to be holistic with how you approach your training. We're not just talking about the training itself. We're talking about your nutrition, how you tactically approach an event, be that pacing or racing tactics, how you're technically capable, from eating on the bike to starting and stopping, mounting, dismounting the bike. All of these little factors will make up that that almost marginal gain. In some places it's massive gains, but none as massive as your mentality. So this video is going to be all on that, and I'll take you through it, and hopefully you enjoy it. I'm going to reference a lot of other blogs and a lot of other videos that I'm going to do or have already done. So if you're watching on my YouTube channel, all the references are going to be in the description, and if you're on my website, it's going to be accompanied in the blog that's right below this video. So if after you finish it you are like, oh, I didn't really understand that, you can have a look and read into that. Something that I talk about all the time, is your accurate commitment levels, like how to accurately gauge your commitment for your goals. And a big part of that, is us and our belief that we tend to have, beaten into us, hopefully not beaten, drummed into us when we were kids, that you have to 100% commit to stuff, right? And it's not feasible, it's not realistic. It's like trying to chase perfection. You're always going to end up disappointed. And just to illustrate that, 100% commitment to your goals would, mean eating exactly perfectly. It would be, sleeping perfectly every night, and stuff like this. You'd never have a beer, you'd never have a takeout. It'd be boring, right? You'd give up so quickly. And, some people, that's okay. That's your life. If you're trying to be on the Olympic development squad, be a pro, potentially you're going to get very close to 100%. You're probably never going to try and attain that. You'll be happy if you stop trying to attain that. But ultimately what I like to work with my clients is, fundamentally, can you still achieve your goals if you're not perfect? The problem I see with a lot of athletes and a lot of anecdotal stories that I get told all the time is that people, they approach their events with this 100% mentality. They slip up a few times and then they give up because they believe that they can't achieve their dreams or even their goals, right? So I think for me as a coach, what I do with my clients is we make sure that actually, what are you willing to sacrifice? How often do you want to have, a takeout meal, a McDonald's, a beer, a glass of wine? How often do you want to ride outside of your friends, at the weekend? I'm a big believer in having, group rides and freebie rides and stuff like that, because it's so important for your mentality as a cyclist to go out and enjoy it without any worries about following a power pattern, a heart rate being this or anything like that. It's just so much more freedom involved in this, and it's ridiculous to believe that you can't achieve your goals by having fun. We need to stop that belief. Of course, if you've got goals that are super grand, you might need to step back, that either drop the goals down or have that actually commit to it. And that's where the accuracy or the accurately gauging and setting your goals is super important. And it's not about like giving up on dreams. It's about being realistic with whether you can achieve them. And that's where a coach can be super invaluable, because they're going to be able to sort of actually have that unbiased look about what you can achieve maybe in the short term up to the next year, and then what might be long term, and then what might be total like dreaming, and it's probably not like not that it's not worth pursuing, it's not that it's not worth dreaming about, but it's, you know, not realistically believing that you can achieve something that's impossible, because you know you're going to end up disappointed, and that's just not what, you know, good coaching's about. It's not what, you know, life is about. So we need to stop doing that. All right, so, you know, a massive part of all of this for me is a balance, right? And I'm not just talking about, you know, trying to balance your work and your kids, your wife, you know, all of the other commitments, and then your training. That is a huge part of it. Training should be synergistic with all of those factors. Training should not be a chore. Training should not add stress to your life. So, you know, if you're sitting there watching this video and you're stressed about doing your next session, not because it's too intense or not because of this, but because it's not fitting in around your life, you need a coach, or you need a better coach. And you know, like I say, if you do want to reach out to me, 15-minute consultations are always free, and we can have a little chat around that. And there's absolutely no obligation to continue working with me in the future. You can just, like, you know, get 15 minutes worth of questions out. I'm happy to answer them. I love talking to people about, like, my job and how it works. It's absolutely fine. And, you know, that's the only way I'm going to be able to give you you know, personalized information. I can't give you, it's all generic at the moment, and that's the thing. But, you know, this whole balance thing, it's also about enjoying it. Like, most of my clients, and you can check this out on the homepage of my website or on YouTube, you know, some testimonial videos. One of the #1 factors that people talk about, my clients, is how much fun they have, and yet they're still achieving their goals. You know, there's no reason why you can't have fun while training. So again, take a little step back. If you're not enjoying your journey, and just ask yourself, is it really worth it? Do you need to speak to someone else? Do you need a helping hand? You know, I touched on it a little bit there. Stress, again, this is something that I talk about a lot. I've got a big blog on it. Stress is so destructive to our cycling performance. You know, and I talk about there being 3 types of stress: acute, chronic, and training. Acute being, you know, you've had an argument with your girlfriend or boyfriend, you know, it's literally just a one-off. You're super stressed about it, but you can still turn that into a positive and go and smash some intervals. Chronic stress would be actually where you're in a relationship that's not working out, and it's not been working out for a long time. And you know, I get described as a cheap therapist, and honestly, like, I do offer advice on that, but it's your shit. Like, I don't need to be telling you to leave your partner, but what I can do is I can help you make the training work. And that's the problem, right? Is that training inherently, it is designed to stress you. And the problem is that actually your training can become mentally stressful if it's not synergistic. And even if it is synergistic, if you've got a lot of chronic stress, training can actually make it all worse. So in this situation, and check out my blog and video on this, there's some great tips around actually de-stressing and how to put a plan in place to deal with stress, because you're never getting rid of it. But if you're at an emergency point where you can't even face getting on the bike because you're so stressed, you need to have like an emergency stop. You need to go on like vacation, not worry about the bike or the wife or the husband or, you know, the job. Sort it out, because, you know, ultimately you're not a productive human being. You're miserable. You know, people probably think you're an absolute a-hole because you're being horrible. Just stop. And then, of course, the final thing about, you know, how our mentality affects our cycling performance is the general mental health. Now, we all will meet someone or be affected by who has a challenge with their mental health. Me, I'm bipolar. I deal with it as best as I can, but, you know, sometimes it's really challenging for me. You know, a lot of people, like, depression is so common nowadays. And, you know, you do need to factor that in. And now, honestly, you do need a professional to look over this. Depending on what it is, it might even be above what normal coaching as well, especially if you're looking for that, how your mental health factors to your training uniquely and synergistically. So, you know, I have obviously a lot of experience around the mental health, and I've worked with lots of people, again, with bipolar, you know, depression, loads of other things. But I also have no problem with liaising with, you know, partners who can come to me and be like, yeah, Pav, look, he's miserable today. You know, he's really stressed. I need a hand at this. Or even doctors. Like I've spoken with, you know, doctors and had, you know, conversations, emails or whatever about actually what we need to do if there's something that actually can help you with that. So, you know, I think that the starting point of this is just that opening your eyes and being mindful to all of the factors, yeah, that will affect your cycling performance. And as you can see so far, I've talked, not even given many tips, There's so much depth to this that you can probably now really easily visualize how if you can get all of these factors in line, your cycling performance is going to go through the roof. And that is exactly why I place like 50% of our gains coming from this, because if you can master this, and even if you can't get it perfect, and again, perfection isn't what we're chasing, as good as possible, day by day, being better each day. Same principles as training. You don't ever need to, you shouldn't have the expectation that you're going to do everything perfectly and you're going to get perfect results, because you're going to get disappointed. So here's when to talk about some of the ways in which you can improve your mental fitness, right? And it is, mental fitness and mental health are two different things for me. Mental health is really that kind of day-to-day generalized stuff. Like, for me, as I said, being bipolar is a big part of my mental health. But it's different to my mental fitness. My mental fitness is more focused on my training and my athletic performance. And one of the biggest game changers for me, and for the clients that buy into this and actually do it, is meditation. If you've known me for a long time, listened to my my videos, my podcast, everything, read my blogs, you're gonna know how much I really how much I love meditating. And it's 10 minutes a day. If you have no idea what to do, there's 3 apps that I recommend: Headspace, Calm, and Balance. At the time of recording this, Balance is actually free for the first year, so there's like totally no risk, and it's just 10 minutes a day. And if you were to really understand the results that you can get from just having this, it wouldn't even be a decision. You would be doing it already. The problem is that it's a human race. We tend to want instant gratification, and this kind of meditation can take years, months, years, lifetimes to really notice differences. I've been meditating for sort of 5-6 years now, and it's only really this last year where I've gone through so much, as we all have, and with COVID being not even over at the moment, but I have a lot of things going on in my life, but this last year is where I've really realized actually the work that I've been doing with my mentality has not just changed the way I perform on the bike or when I'm running. My general health, my mental health is totally different. So 10 minutes a day, get started, and thank me later. So the next one for me is something that actually a lot of people, going back to meditation, a lot of people are buying into that now. That is becoming more commonplace, especially if you're like a yogi, if you've been doing yoga or anything like that, about it. One that's a little bit more woo-woo and a little bit more out there is affirmations, right? Now, affirmations are quick sayings, sentences, short sentences that you will speak to yourself, maybe in a mirror, but usually it's out loud. You can say it in bed in the morning. That will inspire you to change. And there's some science around this. It's genuinely like actually changing your mindset. And I like to teach people, you should do it for like general life as well as cycling. So there might be stuff like, today I will put my best effort into training. It might be stuff like, today I will be a confident human being. But I think committing to that is really important, and I know you'll see some considerable gains doing that. The other thing as well is power words. Now, this you probably do get, especially if you watch pro cycling, especially in the last 10 to 20 years. The man that really inspires so many people. He's got a great story. You should definitely check out his book, Jens Voigt. That guy, absolutely amazing, and he probably has the best example of power words. You probably, if you already know it, you're probably thinking it, but for those of you that don't, it's shut up legs. And he basically just said that he came out with that quote where it was like, when he goes through really hard times, his legs are screaming, he just tells his legs to shut up, and that's a power word. That's like his way of, inspiring him. Now for me, I love to, get primal with it, and I love to scream, like really shout and scream, and scares the crap out of people around me, but you know what, I'm not doing it for them. I feel like really good. It makes me really energized, makes me sort of like my energy go through the roof, my motivation. I really just want to go and smash it, whatever I'm doing, like racing, long runs, whatever it is. I used to do it in time trials. It's amazing. I love that stuff. Find something that has to resonate with you though, right? So some people it's just going power, 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 and that can really help. But you've got to have an emotional attachment to this. So the way I like to advise people to build this is, when it starts to get hard in training, think of whatever your word's going to be, and then start to say it, and then try and motivate yourself to the finish. Repeat this You know, every hard interval, every time you're struggling, every time you go and try and tackle a hill, eventually, you know, this is going to become like, yeah, it's so ingrained in you that it's just going to make a massive difference. The last big sort of bit of this is visualizations, and there's quite a few things around there. There's one that's more reactive and there's one that's proactive. I'll talk about the reactive one first, which is you know, a bit like the power words, except for, you know, you're visualizing yourself, you know, finishing your event, how that's going to feel. For me, that's massive. When I rode across Route 66, I was severely injured at the start of day 2. The only thing that kept me going was imagining, you know, getting to Chicago at the Route 66 sign and how that would feel. You know, if you know the story, it didn't end up great, but I still rode 2,000 miles across America with what turned out to be, you know, at a ridiculously sized ankle before ripping my leg muscle. For you, you know, like if you ride in your Century, you know, it's easy. It's easy to visualize what that could be. You know, that could be, you know, just thinking about looking at your Wahoo and being like, oh, it's at 80. Just visualize what it's going to feel like to be 100. And that's going to give you that emotional connection to that outcome. You know, that's going to be really powerful. You can also do the opposite. And that's, you know, if you are looking at it and you're doing 100 and, you know, you're at 10, you know, you're not looking at it to be 100 at all. You're looking at maybe it to be 15, 20. When's your next break? When's the next feed stop if it's an organized event? Whatever it is, you know, that works in that way too. So it's all about building that mental connection to it. It's going to really change the way you look. So the proactive way for me in terms of visualization is, you know, creating a dream board. Now I have mine. I don't exclusively use it for like my athletics. I put like what I want for my work life on there for the next year, what I'm chasing, put it up there, and it's sort of like above where I work with my desk. So I see it every day, and that's really good. Once you start putting down what you want to do on this dream board, you know, it really start to visualize it, and you build that connection. It's going to help you with your motivation. But another thing that what my clients, some of my older clients who I like to do, you know, especially the ones that lose weight, is, you know, take a picture of something, and in this situation, it's usually me doing that, you know, and they hang it, you know, on their fridge or their snack drawer, anywhere where they're going to cheat. You can also do this if you need to get up in the morning and do like a fasted ride, or you got to do a training session after a hard day. You know, put a picture that inspires you, right? It doesn't have to be me. Anything that, you know, you want up on there, you know, it could be, you know, 100 if you're training for a Century. It could be a picture of the hardest climb at, you know, the Gran Fondo you're doing. Anything like that is going to help, you know, visualize your goal while you're training. It's going to motivate you, and that's going to really boost your mental fitness. The last thing that I love to talk about in this visualization, I know it's not technically really visualization, but I always like to include it, is music, right? And I would be surprised if anyone watching this hasn't felt, you know, their emotions change because of something they've listened to. You know, most of it's like dance music or something that, you know, might pump us up. You know, typically that's, you've ever been to a gym or a spin class, why it's always that kind of hard paced, you know, stuff, because it's motivating. It makes you want to put an effort in. You know, now the thing for me and I like with my clients is, you know, create a playlist, especially those ultra endurance athletes, you know, that might be putting in an awful lot of time on the bike. Having a playlist is going to be really good, you know, and you could include anything on that, but it should be in a mental connection. And after a bit of time, you're going to start hearing songs that, you know, you have a mental connection, an emotional response to. It's going to start motivating you greatly. So you might start playing this, you know, 30 minutes before you know you finish work or you've got to get going. It's going to really start to inspire you to work hard. Okay, so the last little thing about this this video and this blog, you know, is your attitude. And you know, I'm a big believer in the PMA, the positive mental attitude. It's huge, right? It's like whether you believe you're right or you're wrong, or whether you believe you'll succeed or you're not, you're right. And I think that quote, or that paraphrase quote, that quote there, is really important. Like if you go in with an attitude that is, I'm going to be crap at my intervals today, or I'm going to be crap at my race, guess what? You're going to be crap. Like ultimately, that is that. And so having that positive mindset is going to really change the way that you approach all of that. And this might be the biggest part for you, especially British people. We tend to be on that negative side of it, that pessimistic sort of side. And you know, and the opposite of that, California, where I live now, it's all optimism. And I'm not for a minute saying that actually what you need to do is be blinkered, or, you know, think that everything is rainbows and unicorns, because that's utter bull. I hate that crap. That really does pee me off. But there's a balance, right, about actually finding that gratitude. And I think that really gratitude really fuels this. So if you need to work on, you know, your positive mental attitude, I would start a gratitude practice. And that can be as simple as, sitting after you've meditated and just listing all the things that make you happy, that you're grateful for in your life. And honestly, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're watching this, you've got stuff to be grateful for. And if you can't think of that, maybe you need to watch some videos around what some, people in developing countries go through. We all have something we can be grateful for. So, there's no need to sit in this self-pity and, mindset that some people do have. If you're watching this and it resonates with you, I'm sorry, I'm obviously not meaning to offend anybody, but this might be the reality check that you need to actually start making some positive changes. So a gratitude practice is going to be great, listing that, you could do a gratitude jar. I've got a video, I'm not sure if it's on my YouTube actually, I'll put it on my YouTube if not. It was definitely on my Instagram. About gratitude jars, and basically you just every day write 3 things on a bit of paper that you're grateful for. You put it in that gratitude jar, and then next time that you feel like down in the dumps or sorry for yourself, open that gratitude jar up, right? And then read them out loud to yourself. It's going to change the way you feel. Absolutely, fundamentally, totally change the way you're feeling about your situation at that time. And again, just want to reiterate, if you're sat in that like ungrateful kind of negative mindset right now, don't believe that that's defining you. It's not. You can change that. Some people have more challenges than others. If you've got a mental health problem, challenge, you might find it more challenging than somewhat normal. But ultimately, all of these tools that I've discussed today, you can employ to change the way you feel like on a day-to-day basis. And you'll be absolutely gobsmacked by how good you can feel mentally, even when the crappy stuff's happening to you. It doesn't change the fact that crap stuff's happening to you, and it doesn't change the fact that you might feel down for a bit, but these hard times last less longer and they're less intense when you've done this work. So again, it's about being realistic. I love it's not about being positive for the sake of being positive. It's being realistic with a view to being as positive as you possibly can. So hopefully this has resonated with you. Hopefully you found a lot of tips useful. As ever, if you have enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up. If you're on YouTube, leave me a comment. Definitely leave me a comment if you didn't understand something or you want something expanded. I'm always happy to have do more videos or write a blog if it hasn't landed how I wanted it to. Similarly, if you listen to this and you think you really need some help with this, especially tying it into your athletic performance, because a lot of this stuff you could do whether you're an athlete or not and see great day-to-day gains. But if you do it as an athlete and you tie it into your performance, especially cycling, it's going to be a total game changer for you. But if you are stuck, definitely look to, reach out for help. 15-minute consultations with me, always free. There's no obligation to work with me long term, I know loads of coaches that if you want something a bit more affordable than me, or if I'm full or it's not the right fit for us both, that I can recommend you to. So I definitely recommend you at least reaching out to have that initial chat with me, talk about what you need, and then we can go from there. Even if you have absolutely no intention of continuing a relationship with me, you can still reach out. I'm happy to talk about it. I love all of this stuff, and I'm really, really grateful for any feedback you've got. So just remember, last thing, if you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, and if you're on the website, make sure you subscribe to the newsletter. At the time of recording this, we haven't got it set up. We're thinking it's going to be more text-based, so make sure your GDPR allow us to send you text messages and emails, and do both of them at the same time. I'm not a fan of email marketing, another thing, but we're not going to spam you. It's not going to be a load of crap. It's just going to be links to when I drop new blogs, new videos, new content, anything that's going to help you become a better cyclist. So again, thank you for watching. It means the absolute world to me that you'd spend the time with me. I'm Pav, and have an awesome day.